You know how people want to like drink each other's tears? Or even...
No.
Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
I'm so excited to chat for an hour as though no one were listening, as we do.
Mm-hmm.
We actually haven't talked like for an hour in a while.
Yeah, almost a week.
Yes. It's been a doozy, huh?
Yeah.
Obviously, if anyone listened last week, if anyone was listening, we'll find out. Stuff going on with your fam.
Sure.
No real updates there.
Nope.
Which is good.
Yes.
But we are preparing for this 6-week trip that we are going on, and someone is renting our house while we're gone.
Yeah.
So we it's like we just bought a new house and it's a tear down. We have to fix it. It has been nonstop house shit.
Yeah.
Because nothing makes you want to make your house look nice than having someone else come stay in it.
Yeah, you uncover all the shortcomings when you realize someone else is going to be using it.
Yeah, you start to look at it through these eyes, and you're like, all of the nooks and crannies that you've just thrown shit in and dusty areas you've neglected. And by the way, I think I keep our house pretty right and tight.
Uh-huh.
But this week has really humbled me.
Uncovered all the stuff that you miss, day in and day out. Listen, since we're here, I did want to ask you about the back door. You put like duct tape over the handle.
Yes.
I don't know about that. It looks pretty low rent.
Okay, well, let me paint a scenario for you, because this is what my mind does at night.
Paint it.
We have some people come to stay here.
Yeah.
And we're going to be in France, which is like 9 hours ahead.
Yeah.
And they have a kid. And they're, living their lives. And the kid, like kids like to do, which happened last week when we had a kid here.
Yeah.
Changes the little knob on that door.
Uh-huh.
Guess what?
Then they're fucked. They can't get in.
They're locked out because that door has an electric key code thing to get in. Look, I just don't want them to get locked out. I'm fine with it. For you, who doesn't notice anything ever, I hung all this artwork in our primary bedroom, and you went in and out of it and didn't even notice. Like
one time, I went in and out without noticing it, and I was on a mission. I was going to do something. It's a small bedroom.
There's like a lot of artwork now.
I don't want to argue again.
I don't want to argue. I'm trying to be really kind to you.
But you're asking me for someone that doesn't notice anything, but you notice this? Yeah, because I grab it every time I open the door. I'm putting it on this janky looking duct tape that has Sharpie marker on it that says don't take off or something.
No, it says don't lock from inside.
I think if I was to do that, the exact same application, exact same font, penmanship, and it wasn't your idea, you would be like, that's gotta go.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's take it off and let's see what happens, and you can deal with it.
I wonder if there's
this family calls and is like, we had to sleep in our car with our kid because we were locked out,
Yeah. Well, let's reconcile this, though. What's the plan going to be? We're going to keep the duct tape on?
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way, is anyone listening?
Yes.
Okay.
Kristen is. Hi, Elizabeth and Andy. Food lawyer here.
Whoa.
Ooh. America's date labeling scheme is an unstandardized mess. Let me pop out for 1 second. This is probably referring to a couple episodes back where we were talking about expired by dates on food, best by dates on food. Looks like we got a pro in the mix that's going to set us straight.
Yeah.
You might see best before, best by, enjoy by, etc., all of which indicate quality, not safety.
Okay.
That's good. After these dates, the foods are still completely safe to consume, but might not be at peak quality. Anything with the terms expiration date or use by should be tossed after the date passes.
Okay, use by or expiration date. I think I kind of knew this, and Someone else from a food bank said all of these confusing labels are like one of the primary reasons for food waste in the U.S.
Yeah.
Which is a sad state. And we are so guilty. If we're guilty of anything
other
than being
anti-Semitic.
I did say something at a dinner party the other night to you that it was a joke.
To me?
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, we were talking about like Catholicism and you piped in about something and I said, "How would you know Jew?"
Did anyone hear you?
Yes.
Did anyone laugh?
No.
You get a pass. Don't worry about it.
I feel like I do.
You definitely did.
Yeah.
I made an Army Hammer joke that I thought was really funny, but I think might have been a little off color.
Listen, we went to this dinner party. It was so much fun. It was for a birthday party of our friend, but it was like a group of people who were really close to some of them. They're really close to others, but there were new people in the mix.
Yeah, there were gaps in the
we were
ties.
new to other people. And it was such a fun group. And I laughed so hard. I had such a great time. I did, however, I haven't had a drink in like probably a month. Mm-hmm. And I had 4.
Wow.
Like,
that's fun.
It was fun. I had a blast. Can I ask you something though?
Yeah.
I did have social anxiety. For one, things like that happened where
that's all me. That's all me.
Yeah, but I think I said, the Jew thing and I don't know. I feel like I may have had some missteps. And then the other thing was I haven't been that pretty tipsy, although like I got home fine, we walked home.
I didn't walk home with you. I don't know what that walk looked like. Did you get home okay? Or were you like
I walked
stumbling?
home with our kid. Yes, I was fine. I was like functional and fine. But it was when I was falling asleep, I was like, whoa, I had 4 drinks tonight.
Yeah.
Which is like I haven't done that in probably years.
Yeah, you were shit-faced.
And, okay, well, this is what I was worried about.
Yeah.
Did it seem like I was?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm kidding. Not at all. I wouldn't have known that you had 4 drinks.
I didn't. See, that's the thing. I didn't feel like
You're cool. Don't worry about it. Okay. You're good. You're super good.
I was having a little anxiety, and I was like, oh, but we had so much fun. I loved meeting the new people.
Listen, we have one friend, since we're here right now, that speaking of like saying the wrong thing potentially, I sort of really stepped in it when, and maybe I'll explain the Army Hammer joke that I made, because I feel like I might need to clarify that.
Yeah.
Which actually now I'm thinking about me clarifying it.
I just crossed my arms.
It's kind of bad. It's kind of bad. But anyways, someone put forth a hypothetical question.
Yes.
And it was basically like if there was a nice man that came to you and said, "Hey, I got to cut my leg off. And it's going to go to waste unless anybody eats it."
And a lot of people are hungry here.
Yeah, and it's totally cool. Like, I want you guys to eat it. It's not weird. This is basically your one get-out-of-jail-free card to try human meat if you wanted to try human meat.
And we didn't get into the specifics, but in my mind, this is kind of a lost or like a situation where it's not like, oh, I could have leg or I could have like sweet green for lunch.
I didn't even think of it as that. I thought of it more was like, here is an opportunity.
It's a thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment. There's nothing wrong with eating the meat. There's nothing wrong not eating the meat.
Well, that's for you to decide.
This guy's not, I mean, to the guy giving
the guy
the meat.
Offering the leg.
And it's his meat that he's giving. It's not like you're eating unknown human meat or anything.
We all are just walking around with meat.
Right. So it's very low stakes.
Yeah.
Are you going to try the meat or are you not going to try the meat? Okay.
Uh-huh.
And so you and I, we've talked about this on the podcast many times. I've joked with you. I've teased you because you're like, I don't get the big deal with cannibalism. Like everyone's out eating meat. You're a vegetarian.
Now,
Did I dumb that down?
Yes, and I feel like at dinner also, like...
I thought you explained yourself really well.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure there was context, and as you said, I was apparently shit-faced.
You were shit-faced, but you explained it really well.
I'm just like, I'm not eating meat either way, and so it's all gross to me, and so I'm like, meat's just muscle, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, you're not even having to kill an animal to get it. Mm-hmm. So this almost comes with like less psychic karma for
it
me.
It would be as if the cow all of a sudden could talk and say, hey, have the T-bone. It's my pleasure for you to have it right now, right? Which would make you feel better about it.
But does a T-bone come from a place of the cow that they could live without?
No, but you know what I mean.
Okay. Yeah.
You'd get it, though.
Sure.
The analogy. Anyhow. So I'm earlier around the table. How many people were there? 10 people maybe of answering. And I'm like, yeah, I think I'd try it. Like, no big deal.
Yeah.
But then everyone's going around the table and it's like, no. And then I'm thinking like, am I fucking deviant or something?
The one man who we didn't know said yes.
Okay, he said yes.
You
too.
two
That's
both.
Good. We
remember,
both did
you had
too.
a moment of like, okay, at least we have each other.
Yes, that's good. But I'm like, whoa, like, is this like, am I deviant?
Oh, did you think that?
Yeah, but then even since then, the other day I was eating some meat or cooking some meat, and I'm like, it's kind of fucked up. This is just an animal. What is the difference?
What is the difference?
You know, now I'm not saying I want to try human meat at all.
I mean, no one does.
And I don't think...
Well, I don't know.
I wouldn't...
Armie Hammer does, I guess.
Well,
what's the story with him, by the way?
What do you mean, what's the story?
I don't know.
He got canceled because of all these like crazy text messages come out that he was like biting people and then he had exes saying that like he's into like crazy
but biting is
type
could
Edie
be
shit.
Type what?
Edie shit. I don't know all the details. But anyways.
Wait, biting like sexually?
Yes.
Is very different from wanting to eat.
There's cannibalism overtones, I think, to the Armie Hammer situation.
Okay.
I think. Maybe I'm getting this all wrong.
Okay.
But I think the joke still works.
You know how people want to like drink each other's tears? Or even...
No. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I know. I'm just saying like...
Oh, like while they're having sex? That's kind of weird. That's pretty weird.
Okay. What if you had to save your tears, for a while?
Yeah, that'd be
cool. To get like a jug of tears?
Yeah, I'd try your tears. You'd try mine, I would hope.
Sure, of course.
What about each other's blood? Would you drink my blood?
I wouldn't drink it, but what I was getting
Would you bite me hard enough to break the skin so there would be blood?
If you wanted me to.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you're a good one.
Okay. Okay, Andy.
A real one.
Ew.
Why is that? Ew.
Well, it's implying it's kind of has a whiff. I know you didn't mean it this way, but it has a whiff of, just because I know this world, a writer's room where it's all got kind of back in the day, the boys club writer's room where
cool.
There's a lot of, they're not all, of course, not all writers' rooms. But let's say there was this like real boys club writers' room where there's a lot of misogyny and stuff like that. And then there's like, let's say her name is Karen. Nope, that's not right. Ashley.
Ashley's a real one.
But yes, but she's cool. Well, what does cool mean? Cool, like I was cool back in the day at UCB, I think, because I was without realizing, it wasn't like a choice I made, but to fit in with the like gross guys thing,
yeah, like you were going along with it, although you might have been a little uncomfortable potentially.
Sometimes, but also like I was going, and I actually think there were probably a lot of guys who were going along with a lot of the guy stuff, and
bunch of pussies.
So, I know we're detouring and I'm all over the place, but thinking about that time, is interesting. Just looking at culturally how things were then, how things have changed, and I'm not about to be like our doctor who says nothing can be funny anymore or whatever.
But it's this wokeness is just ruining America.
Well,
yes.
So
preach.
No, I'm grateful for things have changed significantly. Thank God. However, there was something very pure about that time where there were really no rules and people. All of us would have been canceled at one point or the other. People were doing stuff that, of course, things change and now there's more awareness and understanding and I think empathy and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But the experimentalism that was happening there, like, I never could have guessed that was, a time capsule. That could never happen now.
Oh, but it is happening again now.
How?
The culture is shifting completely back that way. That's where all these fucking machismo podcasts are so funny. Everyone's throwing around the words you're not supposed to say anymore. It's completely shifted back to that. That's happening. You're literally saying what's happening right now.
Can't be happening.
Yeah.
We went to another party. It sounds like we have quite an active dance card. Somewhat recently. Oh, wait, you didn't go. And someone used the R word.
Oh, I think if you're younger now, I think people are throwing around the R word. How do you say that?
Willy-nilly.
There you go.
I was like, what? And it was twice in the story they were telling.
Yeah.
But it was myself and then two other people who were probably about my age. Like, we definitely shared a look like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And then you have to do the mental math and that moment of like, am I going to react in the way that I want to, which is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, of course not. Like, it's one of those things I don't want to be the buzzkill and turn it into a big thing. But to me, it is a big thing. Certain words, I'm like, just the origin of them is just so hate-filled. And these are like liberal people, I think, who are quote unquote woke, who are using these words.
Well,
bringing them back.
I think part of it is we are getting older, so we're not as dialed in on some of that stuff. Mm-hmm. Similar to our parents, right? We'll definitely experience this much more with our kids, but there were things that we would say in high school, college, that our parents were like, oh my God, like couldn't believe we said, right?
Yeah.
And many of those things did not age well. Some of them were not nice in spirit, right? Mm-hmm. Some of them were maybe not so nice, but the intent of them was completely deflated of anything mean at that time, at least to us. So we weren't coming with any bad intent.
But
right?
Now, the origins of using that word it was a word used to dehumanize and mock people who had disabilities or people who had Down syndrome or other.
Sure.
And when you then go through life and you get to know people who have Down syndrome or disabilities or whatever, by the way, I mean, that genetic variant that causes Down syndrome.
Yeah.
People with Down syndrome are the kindest, most loving, joyful, like to continue to use a word that was meant to hurt like such a pure soul, to me is so grotesque.
I do think if I'm going to argue against
but like,
your
why?
side. No, I'm just saying that people using the word then, let's say how we use that word in the 90s when we were in high school.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with that group of people.
I don't think that's true. I think that you may have been in a bit of a bubble. I think it was definitely used against that group of people.
Yeah. I think at times, yes, but I think...
Maybe not in our little social circles or whatever. Yeah. And actually, I think it was used at the origins of this podcast occasionally, where someone has reached out and said, did you know this episode, whatever? And we went back into... Because we had comedians on and it was 2010 and it was like... So we've kind of lived the whole lifespan.
Right.
Anyway, whatever. I was just shocked.
Anyways.
How'd we get here? We were talking about eating.
Oh, but Armie Hammer joke. I should give you the Armie Hammer joke. So we're all talking about cannibalism like you do at a dinner party. And I was like, well, Elizabeth, it's like when the Armie Hammer stuff come out was like, what's the big deal?
Oh, I thought that was funny.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you didn't even realize he was like biting and eating people.
I knew that there was something around it, but I didn't know what the full story was.
I don't know if he actually ate anybody.
Well, then, see, this is like now when you hear Armie...
Is this defamation?
Now when you hear... No, us, trust me, I don't think we need to worry. But now it's like when you hear Armie Hammer, you think cannibalism. I mean,
I do, or everybody does?
Everyone. I was thinking this guy was sitting down to like, a skirt steak.
Whoa.
A skirt steak.
Whoa.
Anyway, let's get off this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a quick Trainwell check-in with each other.
Yes.
If you haven't heard us raving yet, Trainwell is our new obsession.
Obsessed.
It's a fitness program that helps you get in shape on your own terms. So you take a quiz online, and then the fine folks at Trainwell pair you with your own personal trainer.
Yes.
I got the legend Nate. Elizabeth has the amazing Darian.
Love her.
And then you get down to business with a custom-tailored fitness plan just for you. So, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
You're what?
My muscles popping.
I think you're 5 weeks in. I'm on week 3.5, I think.
Yeah.
It's going very well for you.
Yes.
It's going fantastic for me.
Okay.
I mean, look at this bod. I haven't been able to wear this shirt for 10 years, probably.
I want to ask you something, because this morning I was on my back, knees bent, okay? And I was doing chest presses.
Yes, I like those.
What weight are you doing?
The heaviest we got, 15. I could definitely be doing 20s.
Oh, okay. I'm doing 15, and that was like I was maxing out.
Oh, super easy for me.
So my gains, I guess, are... No,
we're having gains. Holy shit, we're having gains.
Well, I am having gains, actually, because I'm getting Darian stepping me up on my weights.
Well, we're going to have to get more weights when we get back from France. But that is what I want to talk to you about.
Oh.
I was getting nervous this week getting ready. We're about to leave. Has been crazy. Nate reached out to me and was just like, hey, should I move everything to your extras? And then you just let me know once you're settled in France and we'll get you back on the schedule. And I was like...
What?
You read my mind. So I told Nate, I'll let him know when we're in France what the situation is, whether there's dumbbells, whether we decide we're going to go to a gym, or if we just have a space. And he's like, no worries, keep me posted. For now, he's just giving me body weight exercises that I'm doing with my own body, this temple of mine.
I do have a dream. You know, we're going to be in one place for like a month.
Yes.
I kind of want to join a gym. See what it's like to be a gym person in France. And we want our listeners to be on this journey with us that we're loving so much. So take the quiz to find your perfect trainer and get 14 days of free training at go.trainwell.net/nobody's listening right.
That's go.trainwell.net/nobody's listening right.
Yeah. Okay, can we talk about, speaking of no sleeves?
Yeah.
There was a guy at our garage sale who was probably late 50s, I want to say.
If he was, wow.
Wow to that, first of all. I'm only doing that based on like my own age and how he kind of spoke to me.
Yeah.
He might even be in his 60s, but he's like one of those people that looks so great.
Yeah.
I know he's married.
You do. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he kept talking about how he's sneak by his wife with the stuff he was going to bring back.
The yard sale was really interesting because there are the people who are like chomping at the bit waiting to get in before you even, the time listed was 8 a.m.
Yeah,
They're there
people there at 7.
6:45.
Come on, guys.
But
that's the early bird thing. I get it. That's what they do.
Honestly, I love them because they come in, they know what they're doing, and they threw down. Like, they got a ton of stuff. There was this initial wave. And we sat, basically the rest of the day was like slow going. But this guy came in towards the end of the initial wave.
And he was with another guy.
I didn't know that.
Okay. So we got to back up for a second because you're going to find this interesting. There was a guy that came to one of our garage sales a year before that like was asking, do you have any jewelry and stuff like that?
He wants gold.
He wants gold. He was a big character. We remembered him from last year. He shows up early bird again, and we're having fun because we remember this guy. He's a big character.
Yes.
I was selling some instruments, an acoustic guitar, a kid's guitar, and some other little things. And he was like, I got to call my buddy so-and-so. He would love this stuff.
Yes.
So he gets on his phone, and he's telling this guy to come over. Well, sure enough, that guy comes over who has a very serious vibe. But the guy we're about to talk about was with him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, this guy comes in, and first of all, our kids have a lemonade stand, and he buys lemonade out the gate. I'm like, classy move. Go to the kids first, because it was pretty slow this morning.
Yeah.
Then he's in there, and he bought a ton of stuff, and I just find it so fascinating.
Yeah.
Because what are these people's like homes feeling like?
Well, this guy's interesting because you thought of him because I said, when can you take your sleeves off?
He was wearing a kind of sweatshirt with like the sleeves cut off type thing.
But he looked like fancy jacked, sort of.
He looked fancy
jacked. Like
jacked.
very clean jacked and like And he had this...
I think he might have been wealthy.
He had this magnetism. Did you feel it?
Yes.
Where I was like, I want to be friends with you. Like, I'm kind of attracted to you. Like,
okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's like...
You want to drink his tears?
Yeah, I wanted to drink his tears.
Well, that's wild because I was like, can I just cut off some of your shoulders and yum, 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 yum. No, he had a very positive,
super positive,
sweet-hearted kind of charming vibe.
And a naivete too. Like there was a youngness to his spirit. Did you get that at all?
No, I got a wisdom.
You got a wisdom?
Yeah. And
really?
He was like, he kept tipping the kids and calling them entrepreneurs. Like, he would buy something and I'd say that's $4 and he'd be like, I only have $5.
Yeah.
And I'd say, I'll get you change. And he's like, no, just tip the entrepreneurs. But it kept coming.
I thought he was like losing track of the money, like almost in a way of like he was getting confused too. That's almost part of the naivete I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, I just think he's probably someone who goes around buying a bunch of stuff. And I am a little bit like he doesn't come across as someone who's like hoarding. He mentions like sneaking stuff past his wife.
I mean, maybe he is hoarding. He brought that up many times. He has to sneak past his wife with the stuff he's bringing home.
Oh, interesting.
He could totally be a hoarder.
Really?
He didn't give hoarder vibes. Now, this was a bigger guy, taller and like muscly guy. Not your type really, but you didn't have any feelings for him at all?
No, I felt towards him like an uncle.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
So anyway, just looking around and going, I don't think we have a ton of stuff. And then you're like, there's so much stuff here. Now, granted, I think with kids, you go through these kind of transitions from like little tiny kid stuff to bigger whatever. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But people's relationship to things and stuff is really interesting.
Yeah.
And it's similar to how I kind of think about like relationship to food even. And having kind of a scarcity mindset or, for example, I feel like I don't really have this kind of monster anymore, but when I was younger, because I was never allowed to have sugar or treats or sweet things unless it was like special or, and I was put on a diet when I was so little and all of this other fucked up shit that I'm like, I felt like I could never get to it. And I've talked about how when I would go to my best friend Kendall's house and they had like huge family-sized packs of Twizzlers and like Entenmann's donuts. And it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah. And I would binge, now I know what it's called, where I like had no control and I wasn't even tasting the food. I was just eating sugar to eat sugar.
Okay.
Because it was like, this is the last time I'm going to have access to this forever. I think in my adult years now, having access to it and like not restricting it, now I'm, I do have a sweet tooth, but it's not like I taste it usually. It's not like, I literally couldn't have been around, like we have that huge candy bowl that just sits up there.
Sure.
It would be gone.
So how are you tying this to nostalgia? Because I have some thoughts about you with nostalgia.
Well, I'm tying it in that people's relationship, like, I understand our children have sentimental relationships to their stuffies. Of course, that's very natural and it shows empathy. And I had that as well when I was little. But I think people like that guy and some of those early birds I think are coming in to find stuff to sell at a higher price and like they're on a different mission.
Yeah.
But that guy I think was looking for treasure to take home. And I almost feel like he comes in and it's like the land of lost toys or the land of lost things where it's like he doesn't want these things to feel like they don't have value. There's like a weird emotional element to it.
Whoa. I could see that with that guy.
Yeah.
Because he would genuinely be like, seem to really think something was cool. That also gets back to the naivete I'm talking about with him. Like it was pure.
But you have that as well. So you were selling, like a couple years ago, you bought at a yard sale or flea market?
I would go to flea markets. I went to the Rose Bowl flea market. I was looking for like old found photos from the like 50s, 40s, 60s because I was like scanning them and working on a project with them. And I do have a connection to that stuff because it just kind of gives me a feeling, that stuff that looks old. So what's interesting is I found a box of it and was like, well, I can get rid of this stuff. But I did have a few pangs, if you will, looking at it sitting out there, because then when I looked through it, I was like, man, some of this stuff is so cool.
No, it is cool. It was very cool, some of those photos. But in my mind, I'm like, they're not something we're going to frame.
Right.
We don't have a place for them. It's not people we know that we're connected to. But I totally understand the feeling it gives you. But it was interesting because I think because of that emotional reaction you had to those, we're selling all of these different things that have varying degrees of value or not value. But that was something that, I mean, I guess to you had value because you bought it, but like was trash. And to you, you were setting it up to sell it. And I was like, how are you even going to like price this?
Sure.
And then even when you were listing we were kind of putting up flyers about what's there.
Yeah.
You put that first thing. It was like,
well, because
selling all sorts of interesting things. Old photos and scrapbook, and then
because that is a thing that people do look for.
I don't think so.
Oh, you're so wrong. I'll tell you why. When I would go look for that at like flea market, the Rose Bowl, it's like hard to find. And then when you did find it, it's priced high. And then also I ordered some off of eBay. There's tons of people on eBay that sell collections of found photos and stuff. It is a thing. Now at our little garage sale, we're getting, 30 people come by. We didn't get the traffic for it, but I guarantee you people look for it
I know,
like that
but
kind of stuff.
if I'm looking to go to yard sales and the first thing listed is like old newspaper clippings or whatever, I'm like,
sure.
Oh, that's going to be a junky, whatever, versus like I felt like we had high quality offerings. Now, if you saw them, you would go, these are very cool. I agree with you.
We're getting off track, though, because we need to
Why?
talk about how you don't have a soul when it comes to nostalgia for a moment, okay?
Oh, no.
So I'm looking at this stuff. We're like setting it on the table, and I'm kind of admiring it now.
We should have sold those goddamn dolls at the yard sale.
Yeah, we should have.
Why didn't we do that? We thought they'd get more money.
On eBay, which we don't know the final total yet, but right now it's up to $7.99. We'll let people know next week how much what are they called again? Madam
Alexander
dolls. A lot of 6 of them. Ouch.
Meaning $7.99.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. Maybe it'll get better.
I hope my sister's not listening. I legitimately think my grandmother might be like really, really pissed at me.
I don't think so.
Okay.
As you said on last week's episode, this might make someone really happy that's going to get them now and take care of them.
Yes.
It's bringing joy to the next person.
They've been in a box for 20 million years.
Let them be free again.
Let them
be found by someone that will appreciate them.
Free the dolls.
Free the dolls. So, but we're looking at this stuff, and then you pick up a book and you're like, how much for this? And I'm like, what is it? And you're like, oh, well, it was like one of my mom's books, and she's written in the sides of it. And I was like, wait, what? You're getting rid of that? And then do you remember the other thing that you picked up? And I'm like, what? Like, how are you getting rid of these things that were from your parents or grandparents?
Yeah.
And so let me just paint how I think of this. I recently was at my folks' maybe a year ago, and my mom brought out a box of like all their old stuff, sort of what they had from their parents and grandparents. And yes, it's a box that gets brought out once every 30 or 40 years, but oh my God, the amount of fun that we had. And it's like, we're keeping this because my kids will look at it eventually and be like, oh my God, this stuff's so cool. It's like a piece of our history, sort of.
Wait, did I put those books aside or did they go to Goodwill?
Did you take them off before the thing?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh my God. Okay.
I feel really bad. Okay, yes.
Anywho, we're having this conversation. It's before the people are coming in. And then I look down and there's a wooden box in front of me. And I look down on it. It's a very nice looking wooden box and it has like a little brass plate on the top. And engraved on it says, Ron's Memory Box. It was your father's memory box that you had out to sell.
Very heavy.
At the garage sale.
We've been moving that
You
thing.
did keep it, right?
Yes. it is kept.
If you would have sold that, my head would have exploded. Like, how could you have even thought to get rid of Ron's memory box?
I think this is interesting because I also think this is tender timing because of what you're going through with your family.
But I always have these feelings of the nostalgia. I think you bring up a good point.
And also your family goes to antique shops and buy, there's stuff.
Sure.
All over
this memory box is not very big, and it was a nicely crafted memory box.
Well, I bought it for him.
You bought the memory box for him?
Yes. So I bought that for him.
Oh my goodness.
This is going to make it kind of worse.
Go on.
So I kind of assigned to you, you have a high, sentiment for things. But just talking to random strangers and collectively, they were kind of appalled, sort of. And then they were talking about one of the women, like her child scribbles something and she's like, I'm saving this, which I was like, oh dear. I mean, of course I save our children's artwork, but I'm not going to lie. I look at artwork and I go, does this seem like I judge it like based on, I'm not keeping everything that they make.
No.
But I keep it. It's organized. I know where it is. I'm going to scan it for them. But stuff does stress me out.
Yeah.
And I think I get into these overwhelming things and where I'm just like, get rid of it all.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to just put a stick on my back with a bandana and move if I need to. And you did catch me. I'm glad. I kept Ron's memory box, which I had bought for him. It was his, I think it was like Father's Day after my mom had died.
What?
And I am sentimental. I had made a very cool, like kind of funny, sweet photo album thing on like loose album pages of photos of his whole life. So from when he was a baby.
I'm losing it right now.
I have that. That wasn't in the box that I was selling. I have the pages, which are very important to me. And the photos I have of my family are very, like, that's why I get like one of my most emotional responses of rage towards you is that you never take pictures of me. You never take pictures of me and the kids. And I mean, I'm getting upset about it right now. Photos are really important to me. And I constantly ask you, will you? You never do.
Because you don't have many photos of you with your folks, right?
I don't have many photos of my folks, like period.
Yeah. Well, I'm just pointing out I understand.
It's a sensitive thing.
Yeah, I understand it, yeah.
And I can remember like when Teddy was like a few months old, I had a full meltdown because there were no photos of me with her. And then you did step it up for a while. But I am like sad about those books, actually. I don't think I pulled them aside the way I wanted to. And that's a bummer. But also, like, I'm not going to think about it again.
Right. For me, I understand. I understand how you like to have things clean. And I also understand how good it feels sometimes to get rid of sometimes sentimental stuff. There's just like a line, I think, for me of like some things that it's like, oh, you can't get rid of. Now, there are some things that I have like one little nostalgia box that has like a bunch of old like college photos in it that I could have gotten rid of those. But it all fit in my box, and I was thinking, I'm just not ready yet because about every 10 years when I do open up that box, it still like sparks a joy and is like kind of cool.
Yeah.
Will I keep those forever?
Well, photos,
maybe
though,
not.
I think photos.
But they're like tons of dumb photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so I don't know. We'll see. I do think this whole idea of nostalgia and keeping things, one of the things we uncovered in our garage is a mountain of hard drives where I'm like, I have to figure out, like, do I need any of this shit? Like the amount of data we now have. And then I found old cassette tapes from making music and like, would it be cool to archive it? Or is that pointless? Like, that's a thing spinning in my brain of like a journey I might need to go on at some point.
Yeah.
Because it is important to me, but it would also be important to like tidy it up and not have to carry all this stuff around too. It's like a yin and yang.
Well, let me tell you something also. I think my view of it is also kind of protective. Now, first of all, obviously learn the lesson people aren't things.
Yeah.
And I think I stayed very, like, my parents' things initially were very, like, I put too much kind of meaning into them. And, like, I mean, I'm going to cry. I do remember, like, when I realized in my mom's closet that her clothes didn't smell like her anymore.
Whoa.
And that felt like, another loss.
Yeah.
But I have a few things of theirs that are very precious. One is the stupid ceramic dog.
Mm-hmm.
That you would look at that and you would look at those books or the memory box and go, if you're going to get rid of something, get rid of that. But it just, like, represents my dad.
Yeah.
But I think the fires.
Yeah.
I think even sent me further into heartless territory.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be someone who, like, first of all, our lives are very different now than mine was 20 years ago. The thing I would be devastated about in the fires are photos and our kids' artwork, which I know I just joked about, but, like, the artwork that I have saved is very precious to me, and I want to save for them, and I think they're incredible artists. I understand how stuff means a lot to people, and having seen so many people lose everything and the devastation of that, I almost feel like it's a protective attitude of, like, this stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Well, it doesn't.
But I totally respect if it does to people.
Right.
You know?
The thing I would say is you're on such the extreme that if something happened to the little dog thing that represents your dad to you, that would be, like, heartbreaking, right? Whereas if you just kept a few more things in Ron's memory box, the box that was made to keep Ron's memories in, it would take the sting off of if one thing got a little messed up here or there. And then if there is a fire, then it's like there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. I think I have an issue.
You got a bunch of issues.
Man, I just wanted to talk about that guy and his muscles, and then I feel like I had a whole
It's
meltdown.
so weird that we were both drawn to him, but we have different takes on him.
He totally
sort of.
stood out to me, and he stood out to the kids.
No,
Teddy brought him up after the thing and was like, he was so nice.
Can we agree on this?
People are so kind.
There was a magnetism and, like, an aura thing. Like, this guy could be a big star. He had that kind of vibe too.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He had the it factor.
He had the it factor.
There was the world revolved around him, but he was very humble about it, which made the magnetism even stronger.
Man. We've been around people who have the it factor, and, like, we've been around people who you walk into a restaurant with them, without fail, everyone turns to look at them.
And, well, we've been with people that are
We've been with people who are famous. We're talking about
people that are not
people
famous,
who are totally unknown,
but just have that
and
thing.
You see it in action. You're like, this is fascinating.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you. I'm going to totally sidetrack.
Great.
I'm guessing you know nothing about this, but I'm selfishly also bringing this up because to maybe hear what listeners have to weigh in on this. I keep seeing, like, I subscribe to some things, some newsletters, like websites that I go to. I love that website Gizmodo. It's a tech website. And, like, there's the New York Times has Wirecutter, like the buying guides, if you will. Like, this tech thing's on sale now and this stuff. I love looking at that stuff.
Yes.
There is an item that for at least the last 2 years is, like, constantly on those types of sites. Like, whoa, look, there's a deal on this. And I'm thinking, do people actually have these? Should we have one of these things? What the fuck is going on? But they're the big, like, almost like a mini cooler sized, like, battery pack. Rechargeable, kind of bigger battery pack. Maybe like 12 inches by 18 inches.
What do you mean it holds batteries? Like a battery daddy?
No, it's a big battery that you can plug tons of stuff in for, like, if the power goes out for a week, I think, kind of situation.
Well, that's interesting.
Well, it is interesting, but it's so common on these sites.
First of all, I haven't seen
They're not crossing your radar.
Now, let me tell you why. The crossover of like people like you and guys who are into tech and stuff and like what's that called? Preppers.
Yeah.
Is the Venn diagram's like almost an eclipse.
Do you really think so? Because
Yes.
to me, it feels like an anomaly on these sites to me because I keep seeing all this stuff that makes sense. Oh, the new iPad, the new Apple Watch, you know, the new whatever, this, that, all this cool shit. But then it's always these like, are you prepped? Are you ready?
Well, yeah, I think that there is in your heart. I think you're a prepper, sort of.
I don't think I'm a prepper. You think I'm not prepped for anything. I'm not ready.
I just don't think you have the like follow through on it. But I think that, first of all, let me just say, in my heart, I'm a prepper too. I mean, look, I'm getting rid of stuff before a fire because I don't want to.
Right.
You know, I'm like, I like the idea of being prepared. But you have always made a good point, which is if shit really goes down, is having a battery pack going to save us? Because we're not going to survive. Like, we need to just succumb as quickly as possible. We're not going to make it. Yeah. We're not cut out for this. We'll
probably become like sex slaves or something. What do we have to offer? I mean...
Oh. Well, it's a good thing we're getting our bodies right and tight, you know?
Anyhow, I'm curious, though, if this is like an object that people have in their, like everyone has in their garage, because that's how it's being advertised to me. And I just don't want to be left out. But they're expensive. They're like, when they're on sale, they're like $500. It's like, usually they're $1,000.
Do you know where I'm going when shit goes down?
Tell me.
If we don't have like the gas to get out, after having been in Boise and going to that warehouse, the generators that they have to have to back up,
to keep food
keeping
good.
The food okay in these warehouses. First of all, you have food.
Yeah.
But you have those generators that I'm sure we could find a way to tap into.
You're going to have to learn how to forage, and I'm going to have to learn how to hunt.
Oh.
We're screwed.
Yeah.
We're
in big trouble.
Screwed.
Well, you know what? Next time we podcast, we're going to be in France.
Yes.
How are you feeling about the trip? I feel like which is probably a good thing. Everything's been so busy. You know, we've just been doing so much that I think it's going to just happen.
Yeah.
I am a little nervous about the flight.
Yeah.
The flight to and from Boise.
The flight back was not good.
Not fun.
Shaky.
Yeah. And I'm doing all the tricks, reminding myself, like, I had it locked in on my previous flight.
I have a sort of, this is really dark, but when we're all together, I'm like, if something horrible happened, it feels like we're all together. It's supposed to happen almost. Like I can almost like let go.
Oh.
Whereas if I'm just by myself and something bad's happened, I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to be with you guys. And like, oh no.
Yeah.
Whereas I can almost convince myself it's something bigger and cosmic if we're all together.
Right.
I know it's super dark both ways.
I know. No, but that makes sense. Yeah.
That's how I deal with it.
Okay. I might need to take a look at those like meditations and do a few before getting on the flight. Here's the thing. One of our kids has absorbed my fear, and I feel terrible about that. I wish I had faked it more and not talked about it so freely.
Sure.
And I think being with that child almost makes it in some ways it makes it easier for me because I'm like more focused on them.
Taking care of that. Yeah, that's
But
good.
in some ways it also makes it harder for me because I'm worried about them. Then I'm worried about them feeling fear.
Yeah, but it's probably a lesser of two evils for you, I think, than for you being consumed by your own fear.
Yeah, that might be true. Were you worried about me coming back from Boise?
Yeah, during those one things. I was pretty scared for a moment.
Okay.
Myself. There were a couple two big bumps.
You
for
know
comfort.
what, though? I was driving the other day, or actually in Boise, we were driving to go cherry picking.
Yeah.
And you turn off the road, the nice paved road, and you go onto a gravel dirt road. And it is like, dun, 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 you know, and then some big like, and.
But you can see the road. You know why it's happening.
I know that. But I was like, I really have to think of that with the plane. Like, if the plane felt like that gravel road to me, I'd be like, this is horrible turbulence. But the truth is, it's just a low gravel road. Mm-hmm. It helps me.
Oh, great.
Because it's just air, you know? Mm-hmm. So, okay. Anyway.
As far as the trip in general to France goes.
Yes.
I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. You know, with the other stuff going on in my life, I'm a little worried about, you know, having to come back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm also welcoming this distraction, though, too, at the same time.
Yes.
And in general, just very excited for the adventure of, what's it going to be like? I've never been settled in like one spot for a month before in a foreign country like this.
Yes.
So I'm so excited to get the lay of the land. And
nor have I.
So that I'm really excited about. I'm excited to see the kids experience it. So I think I'm pretty excited, but also very scared of everything else going on at the same time. It's intense. It's very intense.
There's a dark cloud over things.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, we can't control anything. We just have to, you know, go with the flow of things.
Yeah.
I was asking our kids this, what's like a moment that you're excited about? Mine is very clear, which is like just sitting at a boulangerie in the morning and having pastry and like watching people walk by. And I know I'm going to have that moment of joy. What's yours?
I'm really excited to go to that restaurant that just has steak and fries.
Yes. Do you know what it's called?
I forget.
We should make a reservation for like the second night that we're in.
You guys really want to go? I don't think it makes sense for you to go.
We'll have fries and profiteroles.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm very excited about that. Can I share something that our dear friend Annie said the other night?
Sure.
Just speaking of France and kind of the attitude I want to bring into it, which is, and actually maybe this will help with flying, and I think it will help with everything, but she gave me this like total perspective shift, and she didn't even realize she did. We were at our friend's house, and they have this stunning view. And like Annie and our friend Terry walked in, and I was like, can you believe this view? And she looks at me and she goes, how lucky are we? And it was so fascinating to me because my thing would be, how lucky are they that they have this view? Not thinking like, how lucky am I that I get to experience this? Right?
That is nice.
And knowing, I just want to have that vibe. How I've been repeating it in my mind throughout the last few days. How lucky am I about things that normally I wouldn't necessarily stop and appreciate? And I want to, how lucky am I through this whole fucking trip?
I love that. That's great.
I'm very excited.
Okay.
All right. Well, good night.
Good night.
Nobody's listening, right?